Hey, what is good, high performer and can't believer? Welcome to another episode of the Can't Believe I Made It podcast. I'm your podcast host and high performance mentor, Desi Abeda. So I'm here in New York. Hello from New York. And I'm wearing this hat. And if you have no idea where I'm going with this, I had just posted a story that, to be honest, was completely devastating. I'm supposed to be meeting up with a section of my wife's family that I have not met before. And one thing that you know about me as it pertains to my self care, how I build my own confidence on a week to week basis, the haircut comes in really clutch when it comes to that. So I ended up getting a haircut here while we are staying in Manhattan. And Manhattan barbers rather, and I don't have the best history. This is probably the sixth or seventh haircut that I've gotten, and each and every time it's completely mid to horrible. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, like, Des, are we really talking about this right now? Yes, I am, because I'm going to encourage you to go to our YouTube channel because we are yet again going to dive into part two of our AI series for your performance. But this is pertinent because right now I'm wearing a Wu Tang hat. Shout out to Wu Tang Clan. Wu Tang is for the children. But I've been wearing this hat for the past couple days nonstop because I ended up getting this haircut that has been absolutely devastating and horrible. So if you see me like this on stories and whatnot, it's because I got a bad haircut and I got to meet this section of my wife's family that I've not met before. And I'm going to be looking like a straight up noob. So I'm not excited about it. But I'm not here to talk to you today about my really bad haircut. I figured I'd just give a nod to not only the Wu Tang Clan, but also as to why I will be wearing this hat all week. But it's really a push for you to go to our YouTube channel so that you can get a visual of what we're doing here. Because this last week we talked about AI and utilizing ChatGPT in a way that can help your performance. Now, we just did a base level of, hey, this is what a prompt looks like, just to go ahead and make sure we kind of reverse it. So you have no idea what I'm talking about. Make sure that you go back to this last episode, episode 142, our part one, where we taught you how to create a prompt to prompt artificial intelligence, namely ChatGPT, at the very base level of how to guide and coach you in a way where you can create a not only just a nutrition plan, but also a plan that is going to help you with the mental aspects of what you're doing on a day to day basis. Not only just helping you to develop grit, but helping you to show up in your business better, helping you to show up in performance, all of those things. So this last episode, we taught you how to create a prompt. And really what we're trying to do is you're trying to coach artificial intelligence on how you like to be coached. So this last time we went over some very base level things where if you were walking into one of my programs, I'm giving you a little bit more, or I'm giving you an opportunity to tell me a little bit more about your current and past situations. So a lot of that is going to be anthropometric data that I'm going to be taking so that I can utilize a nutrition program that is going to help you with the overall goals. And it's pretty similar when it comes to this, but I think we tailed off this last time with helping you to understand some of the people who are going to do really well with AI coaching and also some of the limitations. Now, to go ahead and build on that, a lot of what you're going to need through this process is a level of awareness and a level of skills to help you. Because AI is going to help you with some of the knowledge level, some of the directions, and some of the information that maybe you don't have, and education that you don't have. But at the same time, it's not a perfect system. But what it has a lot more to do with is your ability to not only seek behavioral change, but to actually take part in it and to act on it. I tend to find, because now with this resurgence of AI, the information is constantly and the education is readily available. It's right at our fingertips. What's really interesting about where we are going and why someone like myself will continue to have a job is because oftentimes, and it's not even really just about the human touch, but it's more so we need to help people to engage in the behavioral change model and to build awareness with some of the things that are holding them back. And I think what I'm excited about today, not only just how to build your mental performance, but also some of the things that really set AI aside in a way where you can actually help yourself to bring in awareness, some of the limiting beliefs that you have about yourself, some of your past experiences, your past conditioning. I think there's a lot of opportunity here. And so, as we dive into the mental wellness aspects of how to utilize AI. We're going to stay here at the very base level, and then we're going to go into tools that I'm seeing that I'm really excited about and tools that I'm using with my clientele, as we speak. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Let's go ahead and dive into this real quick. Again, if you want a visual of this, make sure that you go to our YouTube channel. You can see that in the show notes so that you can see the visual of what we're doing here. But as always, I will do my best to try to paint the picture if you're merely just listening to this on whichever platform that you enjoy your podcast on. Okay, so let's go ahead and go into this. So I'm going to share my screen. It's going to get a little wonky here, but I'm going to do my best to try to get this done as we go. Okay, so I wanted to engage AI in a way where I'm like, hey, this last time I asked you, how do I create moments for you to coach me? And the thing that got shot back was, hey, AI wants to understand your age, past things that it needs to understand from a medical perspective, past medical history. So like all things you might see in a dietitian or a medical intake, right? And again, this does not replace a mental wellness professional, because if you are someone who needs that, this is where you should start. Your AI coaching is kind of a complement to some of the work that you're doing. In the same way, you've heard me say this before, a supplement can't out supplement really bad habits. In the same way, your AI coach cannot supplement some of the base level things that you need in order to create success for yourself. So what I wrote here inside of this prompt is, AI, I'd love some help with personal growth and mental well-being. While I recognize that you are not a mental health professional, if I wanted to be if I wanted you to be my mental wellness coach, what sort of information do you need and how would you coach me? So I'm going to go ahead and run this prompt and let's see what AI comes back with. So it comes back with, first off, it's great that you're interested in personal growth and mental well-being. However, it's important to note that while I can provide general information and suggestions, I'm not a substitute for professional medical advice or treatment. This is great because it once again reminds you that if you are someone who thinks that they need a mental health professional, that should be your first push. However, what I think is really interesting here, and this is how you can really guide AI to be a complement to some of the medical work that you're already doing for yourself inside of your personal growth journey. But once again, it kind of helps us with that intake, right? So information that it needs, and it wants to understand your goals. What are your current challenges? What's your daily routine? This third one is incredibly imperative, because what I oftentimes find, and this is just in my journey too, any of the high performers that I work with, we're always having a conversation about what are their thoughts on not only seeking mental health therapy, but what are their thoughts in general about therapy? Because I tend to find that a lot of the work that we're doing is a complement to some of the real gritty work that they're doing to overcome some of their personal limitations. And I think what's really cool about that is, on one end, it allows you to understand that, and I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing so I can kind of get into it. On one end, it allows you to understand some of how you spend your time and who you spend your time with, because this part is really important. And it's important because when we look at your daily habits, if you're someone that is saying, hey, I really want to get better with my emotional well-being, but at the same time you're sleeping 3 to 4 hours a night because sleep is for when you're dead type of thing, and you're engaging in that hustle culture, it would make total sense to me that even the slightest thing is going to throw you off. And this is an area that we need to understand. So inside of this prompt, ChatGPT took us through like, hey, here's some of the things that you need to keep in mind. What are your daily habits? And then it kind of went from there. And I think that's where this piece is truly special, because it helps you to answer your own questions. Other things that it put out is it wanted to take a look at your progress. What are some of the things that you really want to see? It also asked you to be aware of what your limitations are. What's your support network? It asks you to do all of those things. And this is where I think it really helps you to set some time aside so that you can get really clear with what's going on here. All right. Other things that it said, and from the reference of how it would coach us, is it wanted to take a look at the identification pieces of some of the things that you need most. It wanted to take a look at setting objectives. It wanted to create a plan for you. And then it wanted to have an ability to adapt and to modify some of the things that it's doing. Now, there's a lot that goes into this, and I'll make sure that I share this prompt with you. But again, it's asking you for, hey, how do you like to be coached? And this is honestly one of my favorite conversations that I have with new clients because I will ask them, hey, how do you like to be coached? How do you like to be held accountable? And how can we work in a way that's going to be functional for you? Because what I tend to find when I'm coaching an individual, it's really great for me to understand how they cope with failure because that's an area that a lot of us are really uncomfortable with, myself included. I'm still learning how to have a better relationship with failure. And in a lot of ways, there are some things that I'm doing that I'm holding myself back on, but this is part of that work, right? This is part of why it's incredibly important for you to understand some of your own limitations and how you limit yourself in a way where you stay stuck. And that's what I think is really special about this. So if you're someone who is self-aware enough to understand that this can be a complement to your performance, and in this case, your mental performance, I think there's a lot of opportunity here. Now, again, that's just the base level what we have here. Again, I'll make sure that I take a screenshot and have everything that you might need in order for you to be successful here. But again, I think what's really cool about this opportunity is that you can help and guide AI to become a coach for you. Now, this is just ChatGPT. I wanted to come up with 2 to 3 other sources that I'm starting to test out for myself and actually for clients that I'm actually really excited about. And so the first one is going to be Breathe. And so what I like about it, or it's either Breathe or Breath. I'm gonna have to ask what it is, but it's a Chrome extension and a mental health coach that's all rolled into one. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen so that you can kind of take a look at what this looks like, and this is kind of where I think it would be great for you to test some of these things out. But as we share our screen and take a look at Breath or Breathe, what I think is really cool is it's a Chrome extension that is going to take a look at, and again, this has to do with your own safety if this is something you're cool with. What I think is really interesting about this one is that it's a Chrome extension that's going to take a look at not only the websites that you're using, but also your web activity or your computer activity. So if you're someone who is really going nonstop, you got a work deadline or things like that, it's actually going to take a look at some of those things and take into account and then provide you with exercises that can help you in that moment of need. And for any of us who have been in a sprint, whether you're in a launch, or whether you're someone who is just, engaging in unhealthy patterns, like taking part. I mean, I think this was extremely relative, especially in 2020 and 21 when everything was happening outside of COVID, is that there was a lot of arguing on socials and the internet. So if you're someone who is constantly engaging that and you're wondering why your mental health is suffering, I think what's really interesting about Breath for this AI extension is that it helps you with guided exercise based off of your web activity. Again, if you're someone who is more privacy driven, this probably isn't like your favorite thing, but this is something that I've been using that I think is incredibly interesting and one that I would definitely recommend moving forward. The other one that we're going to look at is MindDoc. I would probably look at this as a close second to what you might find if you were going to a mental wellness retreat from a digital perspective. And the reason I say that is because what I really love about MindDoc is it helps and guides you through your own mental wellness journey. And what I think is cool about this is there's 70 plus courses and exercise to help you to continue to add into your mental performance. And I think they sort of market it as self-care whenever you need it type of thing. And I think what's really cool about this is not only are you getting personalized feedback from AI, but you're also creating a better opportunity for these daily questions in order to help AI to coach you. And it's kind of the same thing when you look at the human touch, right? The more that we understand the client that we're working with, the more that we can cater not only activities, exercises, and tactics and programming in the long term, but then we can also help them to overcome some of their limitations. And I think that's what's really cool about this. The last one that I wanted to dive into is actually one that I started about two and a half months ago. It's called Mind Sarah, and it's the world's first. And this is kind of how they market it. It's the world's first AI powered journal. And I think what is really cool about Mind Sarah that I'm really enjoying is that it's actually helping me to understand some of my own thought processes. And so as I engage in some of my journaling prompts, what it'll do is it'll highlight certain areas that are like, hey, here's a curiosity moment for you. Why did you say this? Or why do you think this is a belief? And I think what's really cool, again, it's not going to replace your therapist, but if you're someone who is in a place where maybe you have a therapist or you have had experience working with a therapist, and you are in a place where you can start to navigate your own mental wellness journey, where you can take a look and ask yourself these questions, and you can build awareness, and actually you can build actions that are going to help you to create opportunities for you to be successful inside of your own wellness journey. This is where I think these things could be incredibly helpful, and ones that I, again, have tested out myself and continue to test and are currently testing out with clients. I like it because it's a nice complement and supplement to some of the work that we're doing. And if you're someone who either is a little bit iffy on working with a mental health professional, or if you're someone who can't afford it, like there are some opportunities here that I think could be extremely relative to you if you want to try it out, or if you're someone who is like, you know what, I feel like I'm good enough in my journey right now that I can actually start to self guide and self coach myself. And I say that with confidence because you might find a lot of coaches out there that are really against AI in this way because they're, at least in my eyes, they're kind of coming from it from a scarcity standpoint. But I think what's really cool about this is if we can make sure that people have access to some of the things that most people of privilege do, in this case, access to a therapist, access to a dietitian, all of these things. I feel like if I teach you how to engage AI in a way where it can help and guide and be a complement to some of the coaching that you need, I think it'd be extremely powerful. Now, we just tapped into some of the mindset pieces, and we're always going to help you to make sure that you have resources to develop grit. But I think another piece here as we tap into part 3 this next week is taking a look at AI for fitness. I know there's a lot of products out there, so we're going to dive into a couple that I absolutely enjoy, have used personally, and are using with clients currently, and see if it's best for you. As always, make sure that you head to our YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed, make sure that you do. And listen, PodFam, if you have not had an opportunity to give us that 5-star rating, to give us some feedback, this is how we grow our pod, right? And if you're also someone who has not shared this, if you have someone in your life that you're like, you know what, they might need some guidance, maybe they're not in a place where they need a coach, but they can utilize some services or some ideas of how to get better. I think this right here is a perfect opportunity. Please make sure that you share this podcast with them. And I inherently believe that you will thank me later, because a lot of what I'm finding inside of these prompts and conversations is actually some really great things that coaches already use in their day to day. All right, y'all. I'll see you on the next one in part 3 while we dive into the fitness realm of AI. Super excited about this. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.